Well, hello and welcome to Transition Launch Training. My name is Don Hall. I'm training coordinator for Transition Network International. And in this first part of the introduction to Transition Session 1 presentation, I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction to this course, how it works, what you'll learn, and how to get the most out of it. So let's go. First and foremost, we probably need to start with this question of what is transition? In the second half of this presentation, my colleague Lisa Jovanovska is going to go into this in much greater depth. But for those of you who might be unfamiliar, we could say that transition is a movement. It started in 2006 in a small town called Totnes, England. Founded by a group of community leaders who wanted to help their community transition from oil dependence to local resilience. And what they did was so creative, imaginative, inspiring, and successful that it started to spread first to other towns and cities nearby in England, and then to the rest of the world. And in 2007, Transition Network International was established to be a support hub for this global movement, providing inspiration, encouragement, networking, training, and support for those doing transition on the ground. And currently, this network includes over 1,000 groups that are registered on our website in 69 different countries, and 21 regional and national hubs spread around the world, all interacting, communicating, collaborating with each other to learn from each other's experiences, discover best practices, and work on projects together. And out of that network has emerged a model, a way of doing transition, a way of community organizing that is extremely holistic, collaborative, positively and constructively focused, and something that anyone can pick up and use wherever they are and adapt it to their local places, its needs, its opportunities. So transition training was established in 2007 by Naresh Giangrande and Sophie Banks in order to collect these best practices and spread them to grassroots leaders around the world. Transition launch training was the first training that was developed, introductory course to teach you how to set up and grow a local transition initiative or other regenerative community effort right where you live. But it's not the only course that's been developed. There's been many courses and workshops developed by our community of transition trainers all over the world, which currently includes 75 internationally certified trainers from 23 countries, and many of our regional and national transition hubs also offer training. You can find out a lot more about transition training on our website, training.transitionnetwork.org. So since the inception of transition training, all of these courses and workshops have been live, either taught in person or online using a guided format. This course is different. It's what's now being called an evergreen training, sometimes called a MOOC, a massive open online course. And certainly there are benefits to doing live courses. There's a kind of dynamism and a sense of community that you can't get in these self-paced, self-directed trainings. But also it can be very difficult to find live courses for some people, particularly if you're in an area where there's no transition trainers near you. You might have to pay for them to come to your community, get a venue, provide food, all of those kinds of things. And maybe that's economically prohibitive for you. Or maybe you're looking for an online course, but you can't find one at a time that works for you in a language that you speak. So that's why we've created this evergreen version, which you can take at any time from anywhere in the world. It's available in 27 different languages, and we're making it available basically for free based on donation. So what's in this course? We've organized it into 8 main sessions, starting here with session 1, Introduction to Transition. I'm giving you the overview of the course. Lisa Jovanovska will give you some more information about the transition movement itself, where this information all came from. The principles of transition, how it got started, how it's evolved over the past 2 decades, some of the characteristics of transition, and what that transition model for organizing is. Then the next 7 sessions are based on what we call the 7 essential ingredients of transition, starting with session 2 on our global context. Obviously, if we're going to try to create change in our community, in the world, we need to know where we are and how we got here. What are some of the biggest challenges currently facing humanity at this time in history? And what are some of the most promising responses that we can learn from and follow? In session 3, we move on to the power of vision. Vision has been an extremely important ingredient in the transition movement from the very beginning. Just as much as we need to know where we came from and where we are, we need to know where we're going if we're going to successfully create change in our local communities. So in this session, you'll learn about examples of vision throughout human history up to the present day. You'll learn how to use vision in your work, and you'll actually create your own vision for a just and regenerative future for your community. Session 4 is on the inner transition, and this is somewhat unusual for a social change movement, that we focus so intently on inner transformation as well as external transformation and systems transformation. But there's a good reason for that, because internal change and external change are inextricably linked. And who we are as people really determines how successful we'll be as community leaders and how much we can help others go through this transition process themselves. So you'll learn a lot about that in session 4, including lots of different processes, practices, and frameworks that you can use. Session 5 is on healthy groups. Nowadays, a lot of social change groups are moving away from hierarchical organization to organize in much more collaborative and agile ways. But we don't always know how to do that. We haven't necessarily been taught how to do that. And so in this session, you'll get a big overview of different healthy group practices that you can adopt and adapt to your group, as well as a specific focus on concrete steps that you can do to get your group off on the right foot. In session 6, on community engagement, we're talking about how to build a movement that's big enough to matter. one that reaches beyond the choir, those who already think the same way that we do, to really include and embrace the whole community. So in session 6, you'll receive a lot of different examples of community engagement, different strategies for community engagement, and begin to understand community engagement as a gradual unfolding process that follows the stages of the diffusion of innovations theory. In session 7, we get to practical projects, which are really at the heart of transition. We don't do this just to talk about great ideas that would make our communities and our world better, but we actually want to do something that meets real needs right now, and also illuminates a pathway towards that just and regenerative future we're hoping to bring about. So in this session, you'll receive lots of examples of both early stage projects and later stage systems changing strategies, some guidance for how to choose and design your first project, as well as how to scale up your projects over time to have a greater impact. And then finally, in session 8, we'll be looking at being part of a movement, the many benefits that flow from that, come around full circle to look at where the transition movement is at now and where it might be headed, as well as its place in the larger movement of movements around the world. So that's some of what you can expect to learn. We also have a fantastic group of instructors, certified transition trainers from all over the world that are experts in these different areas. For session 1, you have myself here and Elizabeth Jovanovska from Portugal, also the lead link for the Learning and Practicing Circle of Transition Network International. Session 2, you have Angela Lacerda Nobre, also from Portugal, and Mauricio Deliz, who splits his time between Norway and Chile. For session 3, you have George Barbosa from Germany. Session 4 on intertransition, Martina Francesca from Italy and Josue Dussoulier from Belgium. Josue is actually one of the leaders of the French-speaking Belgian Transition Hub. For session 5 on healthy groups, we have Nick Osborne, who has studied this topic intensively for decades and has a wealth of information about effective collaboration. For session 6 on community engagement, we have Anahi Martinez Encinas from Mexico, one of the leaders of Transition Mexico. Session 7, we have Rakesh Rootsman Rock, permaculture teacher and sometimes reggae DJ from London, who will be talking about practical projects. And in session 8, Juan Del Rio and Ruben Gutierrez Cabrera from Transition Spain. And Juan also works with Ecolease, which is a network for regenerative community organizations throughout Europe. So really an incredible group to be able to learn from, and you'll be seeing them throughout this course. So how do we actually get started with transition launch training? First step is to come here to our online course platform at courses.transitionnetwork.org. And this is a learning platform built on open source software called OpenEdX that's used by local governments, major universities, and large corporations. We're using it here for transition training, and we're excited about it. Once you're ready to get started, you can click on Transition Launch Training, and that will take you to the course landing page, where you'll see some information about the course, how it works, bios for each of the instructors. And to enter the course, you first need to either click on the button that says Register Now to create a new account, or sign in to an existing account. And once you've done that, following the instructions, then you can come here and click Enroll. And that will take you to your My Courses page. But before you click on View Course and enter the course itself, suggest that you go up here, click on the drop-down menu to edit your personal profile. Add a picture of yourself, a short bio, so that others who are taking this course can get to know who you are. And then coming back here, clicking on the View Course button will take you into the course itself. So this is kind of the table of contents for Transition Launch Training. As you see here, there's the 8 sessions that I previously described, plus a 9th mini session on going forth, providing you with some guidance for next steps, doing an end of the course evaluation, and so forth. And within each of these sessions, we've divided it into learn, reflect, and practice sections. So you'll start off learning about that session's topic with an introductory presentation and related resources. Then you'll have a chance to reflect in discussion forums to deepen your understanding of the material and apply it to your particular situation. And then finally, with experiential exercises, you'll be able to practice the skills and the tools contained in that session and begin putting everything you've learned into practice. So you can really start anywhere you like, but suggest starting at the beginning. Click on Learn here, and it will take you to the Session 1 introductory presentation. And just want to point out here that at the top of every page, you have a menu, which you can use to return to the course outline, to switch between sessions and between sections. Continuing further down the page, you see in bold a description of this presentation, just a little introduction to what it covers. And then a note below it that says, please click on the YouTube logo in the bottom right-hand corner of the video to access translated captions. So if you then scroll down the page, you'll see that YouTube logo here. And if you click on it, that will take you to the video on YouTube. Click on the gear icon to open up the settings menu. Then click on subtitles. And then you'll see all the different options that we have for translated captions, so you can follow along in whatever language you prefer. After you do that and watch the video, you come back to the course platform, and you'll see below the video a link to please click here to download the slides from this presentation as a PDF. So if you click there, you'll download the slides, and that makes a nice, quick, and easy reference to go back to later when you may have forgotten, well, what was covered in that particular session. So I really suggest doing that. And then if you need those slides translated into a different language, after you've downloaded them, you can upload them to Google Translate, and that will give you a translated version of those slides for free. And finally, whenever you're done with this module or any other module, you click Next to go on. After the introductory presentation in each session, we have a list of specially curated related resources related to the topic of that session. For most of them, there are 5 different related resources. For the last session, there's more. It's kind of a roundup of all the resources from the course. You don't have to go through all of them. They're here for you if you want to. I suggest checking out at least 1 or 2 of them per session, whichever ones interest you the most. And if you don't have time to look at any of them right now, you can always click through on the links and bookmark them in your browser to look at them later. Moving on from the Learn section to the Reflect section, we have for each session 1 to 3 discussion forums where you can process the information, the introductory presentation, the related resources, and relate it to your own particular situation. So here in bold is the question or questions that you'll be responding to. To respond, just click on the Add a Post button. And I also suggest checking out some of the other posts that are already up there. You can click on the title to read what others have written in response to these same questions, connect with those people, comment on their posts, and start a conversation. This is one way that you can interact with other participants during this course. And then after the discussion forums, moving into the practice section, for each session, we have 1 to 3 experiential activities that will help you put into action what you've learned during that session. So you see here in bold, easy to follow step-by-step instructions about how to do this particular activity with the group. We greatly encourage people to do this course as a group, to take the course together as a group. But if you're an individual, that's perfectly fine as well. But you'll just need to tweak these instructions slightly to make them work for you. So this is the outline of what is contained in all of the 8 sessions. Again, you don't need to do everything. Watch the introductory presentation, check out a couple of the related resources, engage in at least one of the discussion forums, and try out at least one of the experiential activities. You can certainly do more if you'd like to, but we're encouraging you to choose your own adventure and follow your inspiration here. And then one more thing I wanted to point out is that Transition Network International has its own private social network based on open source software called HumHub. I highly suggest that you go to this platform, hub.transition-space.org, sign up and check out all the different spaces that are available within the platform. Particularly, I encourage you to join the transition training space. There you can post questions, engage in further discussion, meet trainers and fellow participants, and see future training events that are coming up. So that's one more place that you can engage with transition training around this course. And of course, if you need any support, please don't hesitate to contact me at any time. My email address is training@transitionnetwork.org. And this is what I'm here for, to support you through your learning journey. And I hope you have a wonderful course, that you learn a lot, that you get some good tools and practices that you can put into action in your local community to help bring about a more just and regenerative future. And with that, I'll pass the presentation on to my colleague, Lisa Jovanovska, for more about the Transition Towns movement. Thank you for listening.